Some of you might have played Tetris DS, but have you played Tetris DS? I am really excited about this video because, as far as I'm aware, this is the only video about this game that exists on the internet as of right now. Here's the deal. This is a prototype of a Tetris game for the Nintendo DS that THQ was working on sometime in 2004 or 2005. Unfortunately, they got into a legal dispute with the Tetris company, resulting in their version getting scrapped and Nintendo making one instead. This is strikingly similar to what happened with Tengen Tetris for the NES by Atari, a game that was released before Nintendo's Tetris for the same console, but was pulled after only about 4 weeks on the shelves. The physical copy of this prototype resides with the proprietors of the website The Cutting Room Floor, a wiki dedicated to cut content in games ranging from differing sprites between versions, all the way up to tech demos and rare prototypes like this one. They bought it recently, verified its authenticity, dumped the ROM, and as we're writing this, only a couple dozen people have actually played it. This video accompanies the public release of the prototype, which you're probably well aware of if you're watching this. If you're not, there's a link to the release post in the description of this video. THQ's Tetris DS has a lot of interesting new game modes, which we're going to go over, and overall, seems to have been close to completion. First, you've got classic Tetris, but we don't really need to review it. There's nothing majorly new other than taking advantage of both screens to have a full overview of the grid on the upper screen and a zoomed-in view of the rows surrounding the falling block on the bottom screen. The Hotline Tetris mode has 6 hotlines on the grid. Any line cleared that's not on one of those lines doesn't get you any points. You clear a hotline though, and you do get points. The higher the line is on the grid, the more points you get. Hotline mode also adds split pieces, standard blocks divided into smaller pieces. If one of these finishes falling and one of the smaller pieces on it is unsupported, it will continue to fall. This ties in with the other complication of Hotline Tetris. Every few lines that are cleared, the entire stack turns to single tile blocks and collapses, forcing you to rebuild. Tetris Draw presents you with a stack that gradually rises and requires you to draw your own blocks in the standard shapes using the stylus. The good news is that you get to choose which tetrominoes you get by drawing them. The bad news is they drop where you draw them and you can't rotate them first. Tetris Trash cuts the board in half, leaving you with a 10x10 grid to work with and a 10x10 grid on the bottom screen. When your stack gets too full on the top, you can tap Y and dump it into the bottom. As you clear lines, the trash grid's blocks will disappear or split apart and fall, as in Hotline Tetris. This can cause lines on the trash grid to clear and can potentially chain from there into clearing the entire bottom screen. Cascade Tetris also applies gravity rules, but without any split pieces. When you clear a line, instead of everything above it just moving one block down, it falls until it cannot fall anymore. In this mode, you don't get points from normal line clears. Instead, the chain reactions must clear lines for you to score. Of course, trying to fit things together so they'll fall correctly without being cleared too soon is complicated, and pulling it off is incredibly rewarding. The Tetris Warning mode gives you plenty of advance notice of several blocks falling your way because they're all falling towards you. This mode uses the full vertical area of both screens, and the blocks just keep falling whether you're ready for them or not, and you only have control of the lowest one. If you work quickly, you can stay on top of things, but every little mistake makes the game harder and harder until you can't keep up. This mode is frantic right out of the gate, and it's the one that I have the hardest time with. Of course, that doesn't stop it from being incredibly fun. It's just not a relaxed kind of fun at all. And the player versus CPU mode is not implemented. It's on the menu, but when you select it, you get kicked back to the debug screen. According to the in-game rules screen, though, it seems to be the same thing from previous Tetris games with the one-player versus mode. The credits menu also boots you back to the debug screen. Some of the modes feel more polished and enjoyable than others. Jake, who wrote most of this review, really liked Hotline Tetris, but felt like Tetris Draw was too clumsy. I agree with him on the unfinished feel of Tetris Draw, which may very well be the game being effectively unfinished. I also found that the classic Tetris mechanics were lodged too deeply into my brain for me to be able to intentionally let the pieces stack high enough on the board to get any of the higher scoring lines cleared in Hotline. The split pieces from that mode rock, though. This game is really fun, and I'm kind of disappointed it never made it to release. More people need to play it, and if not for the interesting takes on Tetris gameplay, then because a team of people put months of their lives into making this game in 2004, only to have their work abruptly thrown away because of a legal dispute. But now, in a way, it has been released, and you too can play the other Tetris DS. My name is Troy, and thank you for watching.